Hi, so this is the news from Zimmer and Peacock. Today's the 29th of November 2020, but this is the news from Zimmer and Peacock for the week starting the 23rd of November 2020. So every week we like to do a podcast and a video log and try and sort of summarize news that we've put out there this week. So we did put out a note this week about our ISO 13485 system. So as people become clients of Zimmer and Peacock, it's really important to understand that buying standard products off the website doesn't necessarily put that person into our ISO 13485 quality system. Some of the products on the website are intended for R&D purposes only, and so we do have a complete procedure for how to onboard a client into an ISO 13485 system. So it is kind of important for ZP to be able to tell our clients, you're either in the system or you're not in the system. And so we put out a bit of a note about that this week. Another piece of news that we put out there this week was just at Zimmer and Peacock, we have a lot of sensors, including the sodium, the potassium, the glucose, the lactates, and pH, etc. So this week we were just shipping quite a few sodium sensors. So the guys in the shipping department just put a quick photograph up about the ZP sodium sensors that we're shipping this week. Now, other news from ZP for this week was we also put out a little photograph of parallel testing. So at Zimmer and Peacock, we're one of the few companies that kind of uses parallel testing of our biosensors, and we also use parallel testing of our screen printed electrodes, and we also use parallel electrodes for functionalization of our biosensors. So we just put a little note out there that says, that life is pretty short. So unless you're sort of testing sensors or fabricating sensors in parallel, then life's too short to be doing sensors one at a time. So we just put a little note out about how we like to use parallel technology for our manufacturing and for our testing. Another little note that we put out there, we had a new rotary evaporator delivered this week because people see these biosensors and they see these screen printed electrodes. They don't realize necessarily that how much effort goes in just to preparing the starter materials for these kind of sensors. So it's not like you can just buy a polymer or buy a solvent or buy a monomer and it's good to go. You might actually have to do some purification on it before you can actually start using it. And so this week we got some new kit in to help us increase our throughput on that. So we just put a photograph up about that. Now we do get a lot of inquiries as well from people saying, I want to be able to detect pH and lactate and sodium and potassium and calcium and uric acid and maybe redox potential. And I want to do it all in a tiny drop on one sensor. And do you have, therefore, electrode arrays? And the quick answer is we do have electrode arrays. So we have a sort of an array that's probably about 5 millimeters by 5 millimeters, in which we have 9 working electrodes. So that really allows us to do multiple sensors in a sort of tiny drop and do the parallel testing on that drop. And we have a version where we have a mini electrode array, which is all pH sensors. So that was just a new piece of technology that we talked about this week on our blog. We also put a video out there this week about how to make protein sensors from screen printed electrodes. We do get a lot of inquiries about this, and we do have a lot of material on the website, but we just try to kind of put together a bit of a landing page for this, talking about the electrodes, the instrument, useful articles, activated electrodes. So we do get a lot of inquiries about how to do protein detection on screen printed electrodes. The questions are always the same questions, so we try to put together a landing page to help people navigate that kind of technology. Now, just today we put out a video about cyclovoltammetry. People use cyclovoltammetry quite a bit in biosensor development, and it's used as a screening tool. The problem is I think sometimes there's too much emphasis put on techniques like cyclovoltammetry, when in fact, cyclovoltammetry is just a tool and it's informative, but it shouldn't be the final decision as to whether an electrode or a mediator is actually useful for a biosensor. You actually have to run the assay itself. So we put together a bit of a video around that, and that went up onto the website today. And then finally, we do get inquiries about our nitrate sensor, our potassium sensor, and our phosphate sensor, because people are very interested in agricultural applications. And so we had some what we call FAQs, frequently asked questions, regarding our phosphate sensor. So we put a bit of a web page up about that. So that was the news from Zimmer and Peacock for the week that was starting the 23rd of November. As I say, today's the 29th of November. So at the end of the week, we like to put together this podcast and this video log and just give a quick, compact summary of news coming from Zimmer and Peacock this week. So as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Okay, thanks very much.